Lanjuruto min jedentinin alola dadon mbenga sede ako nyimu alola dam Lanjuruto min jedentinin alola dadon nga sede ako nyimu alola daridi Wait alola darum nga sede ako nyimu alola jiridi.
My name is Rick Law. I'm director of Disability Africa, an organisation which seeks to improve outcomes for disabled young people in African countries. The main problem for disabled young people in Africa, as it is in many places in the world, is that they're isolated. Actually, they're shut away. This is because there's a lot of misunderstanding about disability. It's because there's a lot of stigma associated with being disabled or having a disabled young person in your family. In Africa, you know, the prime source of any support for any family or individual is from the community. It's from the people around. It's not from an NGO that comes in from outside or from, you know, some aid agency. It's from their community. It's from the people that live near them. We can get very easily fixated with a quick fix. Let's load a container full of wheelchairs and ship it out to some African community, and then everybody will have a wheelchair. Or let's build a building, and then we can see that we've done something. But actually, my feeling is that isn't where the real solution lies. Disabled people in Africa, as with everywhere else in the world, are actually more disabled by the way other people think about them than they are about their impairment. And so the approach we're taking is to really try to raise awareness of the way people think about disabled people, try to get them to understand what life is actually like for a disabled person, and to begin to include that person into the life of the community.
Yes, my name is Ibrahim Jingal Tamba. I'm the whole project coordinator for Gunjur Inclusion Project. And the project helps, to bring these disabled children to light, to be part of what they belong to. The inclusion of the disabled children is very, very important. In fact, one of the key things that we want to achieve. We know that most of the disabled children, even up till now, most of them are hidden. Most of them are being kept away from being seen or to see. One of the aims of the Gunjur Inclusion Project is to include everybody by providing access for these disabled children to come out, to be able to come out, see, learn, and be associated. We have a number of volunteers who are working with them, who most of them are not used to playing with disabled people. But now they are seeing the disabled people, they are working with the disabled people, they are doing things with the disabled people, carrying them, supporting them, helping them. This is what it means to be included.
Hi, my name's George Cooper, and I'm a medical student at King's College London. And I first got involved with Disability Africa through coming to Gunjur here for the last 5 years through the Marlborough Brand Group. And it was through them that I then met Rick, and so we were thinking about kind of what we could do research-wise to try and find out, to try and find something that's going to be the most use to Rick and to Disability Africa. And we decided to concentrate on the access barriers to things like healthcare, education and societal and social support for carers of disabled children here in Gunja and the Gambia more widely. Almost all of the participants used marabouts, used traditional herbalists or kind of Arabic medical people instead of using the health facility.
We often find that young disabled people have other infections, other injuries which have gone untreated, very possibly because they are actually disabled children.
But it's the more chronic conditions and the more, just disabilities just don't seem to register as a problem and they just get kind of sent home.
And so we're developing what we're calling this medical support program, whereby we're providing resources for these young people to have these infections, injuries treated. We have a partnership with a very good local clinic who are now prepared to take referrals from us to treat the children that we send to them. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, woo! Jingle? Jingle? Mommy? The whole, And today we're on our way to a hospital in Kololi to take this young man, Abdul, who had a very exciting time a couple of days ago when he needed an emergency blood transfusion, and we were up all night trying to find donors for him with Jingle and George. But as you see, he's much better now and he's going back just to have some blood tests. And when we're there, we're going to see Usman, who we've been working for some time to get an operation to get an infection out of his leg, and it's great. He's had that infection, he's now much better, and we're just going to see how he's getting on.
Are these coming down? Yes.
The situation with the young people on the medical support program is that a number of them need follow-up visits to the health centre. This was certainly the case with Usman, who was having a major operation on his leg. We needed to take him back a number of times to check that the infection hadn't reappeared. That'll be the thing that makes him better more than anything else. Just his guts.
He said it's not painful anymore.
Good boy. With Abdul, it was a slightly different situation. Abdul has haemophilia, and that means that he can start to bleed internally from any minor bang or bruise. And so it was important to keep checking his haemoglobin levels, because if they'd gone down, then it would show that he was still bleeding internally and would be in severe trouble. So with both of the boys, all we were left to do was sit and wait for their results.
Lanjuruto min jetentin alola dadon mbenga sede ako nyimu alola dam Lanjuruto min jetentin alola dadon nga sede ako nyimu alola dardi Wait alola darum nga sede ako nyimu alola kiridi.
Yeah, what the song means, I'm talking about the people that maybe they don't have hand or they are blind or something like this. People that they are not full, something like sometimes people don't respect them if they see them in a role, they don't respect them, they just leave them like this, or laughing at them. We have to see them like us. We are all the same. All those things is creating from God.
Ngasede ako nyimu alola keridi. Wai ang alola kerong.
They are just like us. I feel them when people find them in a way they are looking for a help. They just go like that, you know. It's very sad. That is the song that I'm singing.
Alola keridi. Alingala njuru tolu boya. Nyela nyatodi la dunia kono. Ngasede ako nyimu alola keridi.
Reason that I even composed a song. I'm in a car joining the bus taxi to go to Basel. I see somebody in a role, he wants a car, but the person doesn't have a two leg. Just like this, so the car just passed to him. We go up to another village, we are coming back, we find him again. So I talked to the driver, I say to him, I feel sad for this man when you don't take him to where he wants to go. So that made me sad. I was crying in a car, just like somebody who I know. So when I came back, I was sleeping in my bed. I think about these people. So in the morning, I take my Quran, I start to create this song.
Ngasede ako nyimu alola keridi.
I have this strong objection to the expression special needs. I really dislike it, and I dislike it because it misleads us as to what the difficulty actually is. You see, I think we all have the same needs. We all have the need for food, for friendship, for family, the need to get from A to B. And whereas the majority of us get around from A to B on our legs, some of us we get from A to B on wheels, but we go from A to B. It's the same need. And if you have a wheelchair to get from A to B, then actually it's fine. You're able to get from A to B the same as everybody else is able to get from A to B, until the community in which you live forgets that you move around differently. And, classically the whole idea, a set of steps is in the way. If we just structure the community such that we think about those people, then who's disabled?
At first, people think there are just less than 20 disabled children in Gunjur. But as time goes on and the play scheme is still happening, we have registered about 60 disabled children within Gunjur. And then in 2 years' time, we believe we can be able to register up to 75% of the disabled children in Gunjur. And like I said, by the certain time, we will be able to have all the disabled children out. So that's why I said we are heading for success.
We know that the population of Gunjur is around 27,000, and if we apply World Health Organization figures to that, we can estimate that about 12 to 1,500 people in this community are 17 years and younger, and they have an impairment. So we've been running a play scheme now for the last year or so, every Saturday morning, and young disabled people have been coming to this play scheme, and young non-disabled people from the community have been volunteering there as play workers, and that's been a fantastic project because, for the first time ever, we've got young non-disabled Gambians playing with, interfacing with disabled young people, and they're learning about each other. And that's already having a fantastic knock-on effect into the community. But also it gives us a context within which we can begin to meet disabled children and assess their other needs. Hello.
Mbinga sede ako nyimu alola da.
Anytime I come to the play scheme, like every Saturday from 9 to 12, I really have a good time with the children. It's lively. I mean, I'm always happy with them anytime. I mean, I have fun with them. I really feel good. You know, as you can see all over here, the kids are happy, everybody is happy. You know, we all enjoy together and to build a future together. Just last week, one of the children was having like internal bleeding, as you all know. But it was really, he was really benefiting from it. Like he was taken to the hospital, whereby he was giving some blood donuts. So I can see like the parents were really happy about that. The kid was like, he was saved by someone who is really taking care of the play scheme. So all of these children they are all benefiting from the play scheme. We are taking care of our own people, so they deserve to be happy. They don't deserve to be like isolated or like discriminated from others or like But it's really good to have fun with them here.
Nyimete balova ngasede ako nyimu alola geng lanjurutola wasio nyimete balova.
An aspect of doing any kind of medical intervention in an African country is that the infrastructure isn't exactly what you'd get in the wealthy north of the planet. This can make for some anxious moments while you're waiting for results or waiting for the outcome of an operation. This was the case for both Abdul and Usman. The results came back in and it was a real relief to find out that Abdul's hemoglobin levels were right up and he was going to be fine. And Usman's results came back with positive news too. His leg infection hadn't returned. He needed a few more days in hospital, but the doctors were perfectly happy for Abdul to return home with his family. Sort of rolls his eyes.
I'm Mustafa Toure. I'm the chief of Comosat. People realize that disabled people are not useless in the society. They have their role to play in the society. And also, by seeing disabled people from another part of the world, you know that disability is not unique to our community. They were very surprised to see white disabled people. Before that, they thought it is only the blacks, or it's only disability is only within our environment. But by seeing disabled people from a highly industrialized country like Great Britain, they said, so this is a worldwide phenomenon. To be disabled doesn't necessarily mean that you are an outcast in the society or you should be a reject. People have realized that it is high time for us to incorporate our disabled people and look at them as ourselves and provide a conducive environment for them so that they also play their quota in the development of the society in which we live.
Actually, we face with a number of challenges, as maybe you might not know, but then there are beliefs that are very strong in the society. Those beliefs are kind of barriers in between us trying to implement this project, trying to provide the opportunity for disabled people, and also the disabled people, struggling to come out of places that they were hidden. You know, so those beliefs are barriers that is keeping two of us, you know, separately.
Yes, I mean, in terms of, you know, the fears that we have about disabled children here, you know, we've been hearing some accounts of you know, the belief system around disabled children, and how there seems to be a culture and a belief that, you know, these disabled children, when they're born, they have some kind of evil spirit, whether it be the devil or whether, in some cases, whether they're snakes in human form. And obviously that's a very disturbing kind of theory, especially to us from the UK. Perhaps not here. Perhaps, you know, it's the norm. But that's obviously proves a big barrier to try and, you know, when we think about challenging people's attitudes, there's that whole belief system that we need to try and combat. They have all sorts of different ways of trying to cure the child, trying to, you know, dispel the snake, or you know, try and get rid of this evil spirit in it. So that is, you know, that is a worry.
So, this is the main street in Gunjur, and right here is the lower basic schools. And just up here and round the corner is the land we've been given by the community to build the Gunjur Inclusion Project, and we'll go there now and have a little look at it. So here we are. You know, when kids have been isolated, literally isolated all their lives, you know, they have an absolute dearth of social skills, and that means things like communication and verbal skills, social interaction, the rules of social interaction and behaviour. They know none of these things. They don't have friendships. They don't have all the things that most kids, most everywhere else, can take for granted. And by making this a place for non-disabled people to come and be employed and interact with disabled children, and from which, of course, crucially, disabled children go out into the community to be seen, that's an extraordinary thing. I can't begin to tell you how unusual that is and how extraordinary that will be. You know, disabled children were shut away. They were institutionalised in the UK not that long ago. So it's not that different. And in just the same way, when generally people become aware of the needs of disabled people in the UK, things began to change. They're still not perfect, of course, but they begin to change. And it's just the same here. It's going to be a fantastic readjustment of the way the community has to think about disabled people, and that will be embodied in this just lovely site. It's such an exciting project.
My name is Fatou Jiba. I'm the head teacher of Tarot Preschool. As far as I know, the main concept is that most of our women here in the community have never been to school. They are not aware that children are all the same, whether they are disabled or not. So the moment that they have disabled children, they think that, oh, let me forget about the disabled child because I'm going to have some other children. They try to neglect the children, and that was why they were not out. And they don't take them to school, they just leave them in the homes. They don't want anybody to see them. They just leave them in the house, and then they go about on their own business with their children who are normal.
I knew a family in Zambia who had a daughter. She was 18 years old when I last saw her, and she had quadriplegic cerebral palsy. That means that at some point during her birth she had something affect her brain, some damage to her brain, which left her really with no coordination of her arms or legs or even speech. But when you spent some time with this young lady, you could see she was very wide awake. She was very bright and understanding a lot of what was going on, if not everything that was going on around her. But you can imagine that a girl like that puts a significant strain on mum and other members of the family to take care of her, and it's not unreasonable that she would go to the community for support. But actually, what she got told every single time she went to her neighbours for support was, well, you should get rid of that one. So what can mum do? You know, what can she do? She struggled on for 18 years just trying to care for her daughter and her other children, pretty much on her own. Her husband left her. And after 18 years of being told, you should get rid of that one, she let her daughter starve to death. Now we have to ask ourselves, why did that young lady have to die? We have to sort of say, well, is it mum's fault that after 18 years of struggling on her own, she just gave up? And I'm afraid I can't find myself agreeing with that point of view. I'm afraid my feeling is, if she'd had the same support that any other member of the community would have been afforded for any other child, then everybody would still be alive and happy and well. With the acquisition of land to build the Gunja Inclusion Centre, it was important that we spoke to the parents of disabled young people so that we understood their needs, they understood what the project was, and that we were doing something that they wanted, not just what we thought they wanted. And because there's no sense in reinventing the wheel, we spoke to other NGOs who'd run similar projects in the Gunja region. But the most crucial meeting was with the Village Development Committee. So we set off for this meeting with a sense of trepidation. We knew we'd get some tough questions and not necessarily a smooth ride. So the Gunja Inclusion Project is that program which has been devised under a memorandum of understanding between Disability Africa and Tarot. So really looking at where people go if they have a disabled child, where they go for services, who they ask for help, what facilities are available to them. The meeting was intense. They asked a lot of challenging questions about how the project would be managed and who the beneficiaries would be. It was a very long meeting, but ultimately successful. Everyone by the end was extremely clear what the Gunja Inclusion Project was and who was going to run it. The thinking that still prevails in our general attitudes to the issues in the poorer southern hemisphere are simplistic and not really all that effective. I think we just still only have to turn on our televisions to see the kind of rather sensational fundraising approaches which claim to educate us sitting in our living rooms eating our TV dinners off our laps about the plight of poor people in Africa. And all we have to do to fix it is just pick up the phone or go online and make a donation of some small amount of money, and then it's fixed. Money's helpful. Money, of course, is helpful, and money in the right hands, and there are plenty of people doing some excellent stuff in the Southern Hemisphere. Let's not feel that there's nothing good going on. And yes, it's effective. Yes, you know, if you can show a child dying of malaria at peak viewing time, you can raise an awful lot of cash, and you might well argue, well, so it works, you know, the ends justifies the means. But when it comes to development, when it comes to international aid, we aren't asked to think, we're asked to emote, we're asked to feel emotional. about it. All that does is raises money. But in terms of the long term, I think we need to be educating the young people in the wealthy north of this planet to really think about engaging with the communities in the south. Not to just feel sorry for them and go on a gap year and help build a wall. The wealthy north of this planet won't include the less developed south by feeling sorry for it. You know, we might give money to somebody we feel sorry for, but we won't invite them around to our house. After all the meetings with parents, project managers and crucially the Village Development Committee, the final stage was to meet with the Mayor of Gunjur, the Ali Carlo, to get the official papers signed and stamped that would legally transfer the land to Disability Africa. The transfer was signed and the land was donated. The Gunjur Inclusion Centre could finally be built. So, we got what we came for. That's the official transfer of the land to the ownership of Disability Africa. So now we can build the project. I think what we have to hope for this and all projects that will make real differences is that they will have longevity, that they'll last. I think we all have to set aside the idea that if we support a project, we want to see what's happened, we want to see what difference we've made. I think we kind of have to perhaps detach ourselves from our egos a bit and say it's okay to just have started something, good, which will roll on for a long time, making an increasing difference. That to me is perhaps more important than doing one thing very quickly, which we can see the end result of. For me, it's not really necessary to see something finished. I think it's just important that we see it started.
Lanjuruto minjetentin alola dadong benga sede ako nyimu alola dadong. Lanjuruto minjetentin alola dadong nga sede ako nyimu alola daridi. Wait. Alola darung nga sede ako nyimu alola kiridi. Lanjuruto la kumbo nyimete balofa nga sede ako nyimu alola geng. Lanjuruto la wasio nyimete balofa nga sede ako nyimu alola kiridi. Wait, alola kerong nga sede ako nyimu alola kiridi. Wait, alola kerong benga sede ako nyimu alola kiridi.